Okay, are we going now? Good. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
It's weird. We're like slowly losing people.
To the
Slowly
plague.
disappearing. Yeah.
Jamie.
To the plague. All right. Well, we are going to continue with the Beast of the Earth, and we're going to try and finish today because we started it yesterday, and our goal is to finish in 2 days. 2 on each hand, not 4. Okay. So let's say a prayer then, and we will continue. Father in heaven, thank you again for your word. Thank you for this time to spend around it, and may you open up our understanding as we try and look at these things. We ask this now in your Son Jesus' name. Amen. So we looked at the beast of the earth, and we said it represented the Holy Roman Empire, the HRE, HRE. Yes, it represents the Holy Roman Empire. Whenever I see that on the back of someone's license plate, HRE, you always have 3 letters. HRE, I always think Holy Roman Empire. There's a car that was parked where we used to live, and it had that. There's a Holy Roman Empire car. All right, so the beast of the earth is the Holy Roman Empire. That's what it looks like we're looking at. It looks like a lamb. It has 2 horns like a lamb. So it pretends to be Christ and so did its rulers, but really they were like a dragon, and they were actually hostile to God's people. Well, some of the other things that we learn about this beast of the earth is that it seems like it's a servant of the beast of the sea. It's subservient to the beast of the sea somehow. Just notice some of the things that we're told about it. It's given its power by the sea beast, so it has the power of the sea beast. It decides to work on its behalf. So this is from the NET translation. I forgot what this is. What's NET stand for? New English. Is it? It might be New English translation. Yeah. It says, he exercised all the ruling authority of the first beast on his behalf. He made the earth and those who inhabit it to worship the first beast and the one whose lethal wound has been healed. Okay, the NIV says the same thing. For the first beast, he had all the authority of the first beast on his behalf. So he's working for the first beast. That's kind of what we're seeing here. This Holy Roman Empire is subservient to the first beast, which makes sense because the first beast represents the church. Very good. New English translation. It also caused the earth to worship the sea beast, and it makes an image for the sea beast. So you can just see all these things, and it's very much subservient. It's working for the sea beast. And there you can see our beautiful picture of dear Pope crowning Charlemagne. So that's kind of how it worked. This is what's said about Charlemagne's empire in reference to the Pope crowning him. It lost more than it gained by putting itself under obligations to the Roman see and consenting to accept from the Pope's hand the style of emperor and the vague commission to protect the unity of Christendom, a commission which to the Roman pontiff meant little more than the duty of giving the church all that she chose to crave. So basically he says, I'll crown you, it means you give me everything I want. And Charlemagne was like, maybe I didn't actually want that to happen. Too bad. That's how it went. Okay, now just keep this in mind. You might want to check this out. One of the ways that the church really coerced the emperors to do what it wanted was by this thing called the Donation of Constantine. And you can look this up. This whole thing is funny. The Donation of Constantine, basically, no one knows where it came from. It has since been proved to be a forgery. What it was is it's this supposed letter from Constantine, right, in the 300s, from Constantine in the 300s, saying, I love the Pope, I think the Pope is so important, so I'm giving him a whole bunch of land. And, all the emperors should love the Pope too. And so the Pope was like, see, Constantine loved me, he gave me a whole bunch of stuff, and he said everybody should follow me. So the Pope kept pulling that up, and would wave it around. See, Emperor, Constantine did this, right? And the emperors would be like, oh, yeah, paper, and, then they'd go along with it. Well, since then, it has been proved to not actually be a letter from Constantine, and that was figured out in like the 1800s, that it's not a real letter, and somehow, no one knows where it came from, but it just started showing up in like the 700s, and the popes were just like, see, in the 700s. So no one knows where it came from, popes probably just made it up, it's called the Donation of Constantine, and there you go. That's what they used often to talk about why they should have authority. Okay, now we're going to see that come up a little bit later. Yes. So it also says, we're told in verse 12, it caused the earth to worship the first beast. And so this is what Charlemagne did. The Holy Roman Empire went around and caused everyone to worship the church. So finally, Charlemagne, in 804, he succeeded in pacifying them. That's the Saxons. He insisted, moreover, upon a program of thorough Christianization. So that's what he did. He went through the barbarian tribes, he attacked them, he subdued them, and he made them Christians. All right, now, let's take a look. Revelation 13:13. Miss Kaylin, can you read that for us, please?
And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
So that's what this beast does. He did great wonders, and he'd have fire come down onto the earth in the sight of men. Now, just think about what these things represent. What do you think fire represents? Yeah, destruction. I tend to think, basically along those lines, I would say fire represents judgment. That same kind of thing. So he would cause fire to come down, and if you just want some examples, you have Sodom and Gomorrah, Genesis 19:24, right? Judgment coming down on them. Numbers 16:35, this is Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. It says, there came out a fire from the Lord and consumed the 250 men that offered incense. So judgment came out from God. So fire from God seems to represent, a lot of times at least, judgment. Not all the time. Okay. A fire goeth before him and burneth up his enemies round about. Psalm 97, verse 3. Yeah, isn't that sweet? Like, what is that?
It's like frost.
Okay. So what it says there is that this beast caused fire to come down on the earth, and he did great wonders. So this idea that he would have fire come down seems to show that he brought judgment upon the earth. And that's really what this beast did. He went around and he took over everything. Now, I haven't changed this for the new pope. It still has the scary guy on there. But yeah, he was very scary. Okay, so he does great wonders. Now, it's interesting. Yeah, he really does look like him. It's true. He did great wonders. Now, it's interesting that he does that because that's what false prophets are all about. You can check out these verses if you want. Matthew 24:24 says that false prophets will do great wonders. And 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 9, talks about these false signs that they would perform. And, the church is all about this kind of stuff. Can any of you think of any of the miracles the church claims? Have you ever heard of any of these things?
He shoots lightning out of his
No. 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 So here's some of the miracles that the church claims. Some of these things are pretty crazy. So, they talk about the miracle of the host. They call the bread, that's supposed to be Jesus' body, they call that the host. So they say the miracle of the host. They perform transubstantiation on it, right? When the priest takes it, they say it turns into Jesus' body. Okay, now, because it's a body, it's part of his body, it's real flesh, right? Well, they say that's what the miracle of the host is. That when someone takes it who's not supposed to, sometimes crazy things happen. So, supposedly, one lady, this is, back in, the ancient times, in, the 1500s, supposedly one lady was like, I don't really think that turns into Jesus' body. So I'm going to check. I'm going to take it, and I'm going to check it and see if this is really flesh. So, so she went and she hid it. And she was taking it home, and all of a sudden, as she was taking it home, it started to bleed. And she was like, what's happening? And, blood starts flowing out of her bag, all over the ground. And she's like, whoa, this is scary. Blood's, everywhere. So she goes home, and she puts it in a trunk. I don't know why. But she goes home, and she puts it in a trunk. And then, I'm serious. This is what they teach, that you have this miracle of the host. She goes home, and she puts it in a trunk. And then during the night, she and her husband are woken up because the trunk is shining. And there's all this light coming out of it.
How would that wake him up?
So I don't know what happened to the blood. But anyway,
What about the trunk?
that's kind of where it all... Look up
Did they
this
get a
stuff,
free car?
Miracles of the Host. You see, there's a lot of... This is from... I didn't take this, by the way. I don't get my sources from, Protestant books and stuff, because a lot of them make fun of these miracles. But this was from, an official, Catholic book. I think it even had the imprimatur, if you've heard of that. That's or whatever, however you pronounce it. But like, that's the stamp of approval from the Catholic publishing system, like, that we agree with this. So anyway, you can read about this kind of stuff. Here's one. I'll show you the movie just so that you can see it. Have you ever heard of Stigmata?
Nope.
Okay.
I've heard of Trectum.
So Stigmata is the idea. I'll tell you before I show it to you. It's the idea that certain people throughout history have experienced the crucifixion, have been put through the crucifixion by God, like mysteriously. So it's in Galatians chapter 6. Paul says, "For I bear in my body the marks of the Lord." And now he's talking about, like, you know, I've been flogged, I've gone through all this kind of thing. But it's taken literally by the Catholic Church to mean that he literally, at times, would suddenly get, like, nail marks in his hands, and that he would feel like he was being crucified. That God would, like, make him undergo that so that he knew what Jesus did. And so this is a continuous church teaching called Stigmata. You can look this up. It's called Stigmata, that people still, even today, go through the crucifixion because God is submitting them to this torture that Jesus went through so that they know what it's like. So what you're going to see, this is a video, it is Fox News documenting a stigmata. So that kind of thing. But there's a guy named Padre Pio, went through it all the time, apparently. And he apparently went through this a lot, and he was just made a saint by the Catholic Church. So there's been a number of cases that are undocumented by the Vatican, so the Vatican won't admit them, but there are actually a few cases where the Vatican has said, yes, this really did happen. Okay, Padre Pio, I believe, was one of those. Okay, so here you go. Stigmata. Let's see. Here's what we have about stigmata. I'll just give you a couple of definitions first. So this is one of their big miracles. History tells us, this is from the Catholic Encyclopedia, tells us that many ecstatics bear on hands, feet, side, or brow the marks of the Passion of Christ, with corresponding and intense sufferings. These are called visible stigmata. Their existence is so well established historically that, as a general thing, they are no longer disputed by unbelievers. Who now seek only to explain them naturally. Okay. Anyway.
Naturally.
So that's what the Catholic Encyclopedia says. Stigmata, this is the Catholic Faith Handbook for Youth. Stigmata appear mysteriously on the hands and feet of people of great holiness, uniting them with the suffering of Christ on the cross. St. Francis, that's Francis of Assisi, by the way. St. Francis is the first person reported to have experienced stigmata. So he was, the first Catholic where it's been verified. Okay, so here you go.
2,000 years ago, a man suffered an agonizing death. Nails were driven through his hands and feet, a spear pierced his side, and a crown of thorns was forced on his head. The injuries and suffering of Jesus Christ have been known to manifest themselves in ordinary men and women. It's the phenomenon called stigmata. St. Francis of Assisi reputedly suffered the stigmata in the year 1224. The marks that appeared on his hands, feet, and side remained with him until his death. The stigmata continues to inspire awe and amazement. In May of this year, a crowd well in excess of 1 million people gathered in Rome for the beatification of Padre Pio. For 50 years, the late Padre Pio bled from supernatural wounds to his hands and feet. The Vatican has only authenticated 12 cases of stigmata. Case number 13 may prove to be cardia reverse.
Okay, so this lady apparently undergoes this as well. So I don't remember if I have her. Oh no, I don't have it in there. Anyway, yes, they follow her around with this camera, and she goes, oh, something like. Very,
What are the chances they got it on film?
I know, pretty crazy. It's very, very weird. Because she starts to bleed and all of this stuff. Yeah, it's weird. She's like, I have this message from Jesus. He's telling me these things. And weird.
And he's like,
right?
"Lightning."
So that's what this is. Like,
He's like,
this is what we have here. Like, these are these wonders and signs, these false miracles. Catholicism is all about it. I mean, in order to become a saint, so I don't know if you heard, who was it? John Paul II just became a saint on Sunday, right? Well, in order to become a Catholic saint, what do you have to do? You have to die, and you have to perform 3 miracles after you're dead. So
I did that
that's
in
how
my
you become a
sleep.
Catholic saint. So you have to die and then perform 3 miracles while you're dead. Now, the miracles kind of vary in terms of what they are. Like, it could be that somebody sees your face in like a piece of bread or something like that. Like, it's, you know,
remember the chip?
yeah, people are like that. You
commercial?
know? Look online again and look for
stain
like
from
pictures of Mary in bread, and you'll find stuff. Like,
That guy's a pope.
yes. So anyway, the more you get into the Catholic Church, the weirder it gets, and which is probably why like most Catholics are not hardcore Catholics, because the more they looked into their church, the more they'd be like, "This is really strange." Like this church like is super creepy, and you know that's what you find out. So okay, let's continue. 14 to 15. Coral, can you read those, please? Revelation 13, 14 to 15.
All right. And deceiveth them as that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. Which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast, should be killed.
Awesome. Thank you. So what we learn here is that this beast of the earth, we want to notice a couple of things. You are going to see that there's a big similarity between him and the false prophet, in that he does miracles, and so does the false prophet, performs these miracles, and he deceives those who dwell on the earth, and the false prophet does the same thing, deceives them. So what we kind of see is that there's this connection between this false prophet and the beast, and it makes sense because the false prophet's the church, and this beast very much is linked to the Catholic Church. So we can see these two things being connected like this, with these miracles and this deception. Now what we're going to notice is that this beast decides to make an image of the beast, it says. So the beast of the earth makes an image of the beast of the sea. Okay, now we're going to think about that a little bit and think about what that means. All right, well, I always thought those guys would be kind of cool to see. So he makes an image, right? Well, think about what images represent. Well, at least for me, when I think about image and prophecy, the first thing I think of is Daniel chapter 2. Now, what does that image represent? Yeah, it represents a bunch of nations, right? Represents a bunch of nations. Babylon. Okay, so what we see is that an image means a nation. So you have Daniel 2:31, right? That an image can represent a nation. You also have, this is perhaps one of the funniest stories in all of the Bible. You also have 1 Samuel 6, verses 4 and 5. Then said they, "What shall be the trespass offering which we shall return to him?" They answered, 5 golden emerods and 5 golden mice, according to the number of the lords of the Philistines. Wherefore ye shall make images of your emerods and images of your mice.
What's an emerald?
I think it's hemorrhoids. Anyway, growths that come out of your... Anyway. Yes. So, do you remember the story? This is like the best story ever. So, the Philistines steal the ark, right? They steal the ark. They're like, yeah, we got the ark. So then they put it in the temple of Dagon. They come in the next day, and Dagon's fallen over on his face with his arms cut off. And they're like, weird, right? So they put him back up, they stick his arms on, and then they're like, I wonder how that happened. And so then they come in the next day, he's laying down on his face in front of the ark, right, bowing down to the ark, which is just like ridiculously awesome. The Dagon's bowing down to the ark with his arms cut off again. And they're like, why does this keep happening? So then they decide, you know what, we're just going to take it to one of our cities. So they bring it from city to city. They have 5 cities, right? They bring it from city to city, and every city, all the men get hemorrhoids, and then there's a bunch of mice running around everywhere. And they're like, oh man, this thing, it kills our God, it gives us hemorrhoids, right? This is not very fun. And it like makes mice run around in our town. Like, how like awesome is this? This is like God's like retribution on these icky people. Anyway, so they say, you know what, we're kind of done. We don't really want this anymore. And so we thought it'd be really cool to have the ark. Not really. So they decide we're going to send it back. So they give it back to the Israelites. Yeah, give this thing back. We don't want it. So they give it back to the Israelites, and they said, we need to do some kind of offering here to their God so that he realizes, we're sorry because we don't want this stuff anymore. Make the mites go away, make the hemorrhoids go away. So they decide, we're going to make 5 golden hemorrhoids and 5 golden mice, and we'll send them back. So each of these represents one of their cities, because they had the ark in each of the 5 cities, and they said, now make one for each of your cities. So again, you have this image that represents a city. So that's what we're seeing here. But we also just wanted to talk about how cool that story was. Okay, so what is the image then? Well, we know from verse 14 that it is a gift for the beast of the sea. So it's a gift that the beast of the earth is making for the beast of the sea. So that's one thing that we want to notice. We know that it's also an image of the beast of the sea. So, it's like if somebody was giving you a birthday present, they knocked on your door and you came to your door and there was like this statue of you on your door. Like, that's what this is. This is a gift for the beast of the sea, and it's an image of him. Okay. Now, then it's given life by the beast of the earth. So the beast of the earth like breathes on it and it lives. It speaks in verse 15, and those who did not worship it were killed. Now, it represents a nation, remember. So we're looking for a nation, then, that we could say was a gift to the beast of the sea, that was an image of the beast of the sea, that was given life by the beast of the earth, that spoke, and that led to the death of those who did not worship it. Well, we're going to have to go really fast, because we're running out of time. Well, check these out. I forgot what year it was, but Charlemagne and his whatever they were called, people who came after him. Charlemagne and the people who came after him decided to give the church a gift. And they said, you know what? You've always wanted your own territory. We're going to give them to you. We're going to give you what we call the Papal States. And so for a long time, the Pope ruled over a lot of Italy, because that was the land given to him by the Holy Roman Empire. So a kingdom was made which gave the Pope temporal power, effectively making him like an emperor. Remember, this is an image of the beast of the sea, or an image of that old fallen Western Empire. And so that's what the Pope became. Here's an interesting quote. It says, "The power of the great Latrin